Clase. Hola, clase. Hola, hola. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go over 6.3 from the textbook. And we're going to be talking today about the use of the preterit. So preterit is to talk about things that happened in the past tense. So we'll start with this PowerPoint here. Alright, so this is 6.3 from your textbook. So in order to talk about events in the past, Spanish uses two simple tenses, the preterit and the imperfect. In this lesson, we're only going to look at the preterit, this first one, so we don't have to worry about the other one. And these are things that are how we talk about actions and states completed in the past. So first, how do we form the preterit? So here we have the three verb types in Spanish, verbs that end in AR, ER, and IR. And notice that where it's highlighted here in the PowerPoint, okay? So for AR verbs, we take off the ending, and for the yo form, we add an E with an accent over it, and it sounds like compré. So go ahead and repeat at home, yo compré. For the to form, again, we drop off the AR and we add aste. So for you bought, we would say, repita, tú compraste, tú compraste. For the usted, él, and ella form, or the third person singular, we drop off the AR and we add an O with an accent mark. And we notice here that the accents are very important, okay? So for you formal, he or she we bought, we say, repita, compró, compró. Notice that my voice, it gets, the emphasis is on the end, compró, just like here with yo, compré, right? Nosotros, it stays the same as in the present tense, so we drop off the AR and we add amos. So we say nosotros compramos, compramos. The vosotros form we're not going to do because we don't do the Spain version. And then for ustedes, so for you all, ellos, they, or ellas, they, we drop off the AR and we add aron. So to say y'all, you all bought or they bought, we'd say in español, compraron. Repite, compraron. Good, so again we say compré, compraste, compró, compramos, compraron. For ER verbs, we also drop off the ending and we add an I with an accent. Vendí, I sold. Repita, yo vendí. Tú vendiste. So you notice that instead of aste, it's iste, the ending. Usted, él, ella, repita, clase, vendió. Vendió. So this also ends in an O with an accent, only there's an I included as well. Whereas over here with compró, there was no I. So for the nosotros form, for ER, we say vendimos. So notice the difference there. It's not normally in the present you would say vendemos, but here in the past we say vendimos. And then lastly, ustedes, ellos, ellas, repita clase, vendieron. Vendieron. So the ending is ieron. We notice over here for IR verbs, all of the endings are exactly the same as ER verbs. So that makes it nice and easy, okay? So escribir, to write, we say, repita, escribí. Escribí. Accent over the I. I wrote. Escribiste. Escribiste. You wrote. Escribió. Escribió. Accent over the O. Okay? You, formal, he, she wrote. For nosotros, escribimos. Escribimos. And then lastly, ustedes, ellos, ellas, escribieron. Escribieron. Muy bien. So this just talks a little bit about what I just said, that the yo, usted, ella forms of all three conjugations have written accents on the last syllable to show that it's stressed. So that's super important. So as the chart shows, the ending for regular ER and IR verbs are identical in the preterit. And I also pointed that out. Here's a couple examples. In this photo it says, ¿Qué compraste? Right? ¿Qué compraste? So what did you buy? Compré estos aretes. Compré estos aretes. She's saying, I bought these earrings. Something else I also had already pointed out is that nosotras forms for AR and IR verbs, the preterit and the present are the same, right? So context helps you determine that. So in this example, we say, en invierno compramos ropa. In the winter, we buy clothes. This is something that we habitually do. But here we say, anoche compramos unos zapatos. So this word anoche means last night, and that's telling our listener that we're talking about the past. Right? Last night we bought some shoes. All right, what else? So AR and ER verbs that have a stem change in the present tense are regular in the preterit. So that's good. So the stem change goes away. They do not have a stem change. So for instance, here are three categories. The E to IE, O to UE, and U to UE. So cerrar, volver, and jugar. In the present, we see the stem change. La tienda cierra a las 6. Carlitos vuelve tarde. Él juega al fútbol. All those stem changes disappear in the preterit. So that's nice, right? So we would say la tienda cerró a las 6. So it closed. No stem change. Carlitos volvió tarde. Carlos came back late. No stem change. Él jugó al fútbol. He played football. No stem change. However, of course, there's always an exception. IR verbs that have a stem change in the present also have one in the preterit. So these are considered irregular. But I don't think we're going to go into those just yet. I think those come later. I'm not sure if those are in this lesson. But I think it's just telling you that for additional information. Alright, so there's also a few spelling changes that we have to look out for. So verbs that end in car, gar, and thar all have spelling changes in the first person singular, so the yo form only. So this is only applicable to the yo form. So for instance, buscar, which is a car verb, turns into busqué. So the C turns into a QU. But you notice there's still the accent over the E. So buscar gives to yo busqué. I searched for, right? Llegar turns in, you have to put a U there. So yo llegué. Yo llegué. I arrived. And then lastly, empezar, that Z turns to a C for the yo form only. Yo empecé. Yo empecé. Alright, so keep that in mind, the spell change. Except for the yo form, all the other forms of car, gar, and thar are regular in the preterit. Okay, so again, that's only applicable to the yo form. There are three other types of verbs that end in, we'll see here. Creer, leer, and oír also have spelling changes in the preterit. So the I of the verb endings of creer, leer, and oír carries an accent in the yo, tú, nosotros, and vosotros forms, and changes to Y in the third person singular, which is usted, él, and ella, and third person plural, ustedes, ellos, ellas. So here we have creer, that turns into creí, accent, creíste, accent, creyó, there's the Y, creímos, accent, creyeron, and the Y comes back. Same with leer, leí, leíste, leyó, the Y, leímos, accent, leyeron, the Y comes back. And the same follows with oír, right, to hear. Oí, accent, oíste, accent, oyó, with the Y, oímos, acento, y oyeron, acento. Okay, muy bien. So those three all have those in common. Creer, leer, oír. Ver is also considered an irregular verb in the preterit, but in none of it has... it's regular in the preterit, but none of them have accent marks. That's what it is. Okay, so note here, ver, you say vi, viste, vio, vimos, vis, y vieron, right? No accents in any of those, okay? And lastly, here you have a list of words that are commonly used in the past tense, so these you'll want to learn. So we already saw this word earlier. Repita, por favor. Anoche. Anteayer. It's one word. Anteayer. So the day before yesterday. Ayer. De repente. So if we're telling a story and we say suddenly, then we use the preterit. If we say desde, hasta, we also use the preterit. Pasado. El año pasado. La semana pasada. Una vez. Dos veces. Y ya. Alright, so here are a few examples. Ayer llegué a Santiago de Cuba. Right, so here we have ayer. Anoche oí un ruido extraño. Alright, here's another example of anoche. Alright, and lastly, in Spanish, there's a way that we could talk about things that have just happened, right, in the very recent past by using this verb acabar plus de plus the infinitive of a verb again, this is for something that just happens. And we conjugate the verb acabar in the present tense, which is a little strange, right? So we can say, acabo de comprar una falda, and even though this is in the present tense, it's referring to the past. I just bought a skirt. Or for instance, you can say, acabas de ir de compras. You just went shopping. So this is something that happened in the very recent past. All right, good. So I'm going to leave this up, and I'm going to shrink it a little bit so you guys can, hopefully you can still see this. And we're going to do a few activities. We're going to start with this one here. Let me make this a little smaller as well. Put this over here. Move this over here. There we go. Hopefully this is good enough. All right, so this first activity is the easier one. We're just choosing the correct form of the preterit according to the context. So as always, you're going to want to pause and think about the answer before I give it, okay? So here we have, ayer Paula, so Paula is the subject, blank un vestido muy barato en la tienda y lo blank. So let's do the first one. So would you say, ayer Paula viste un vestido, vio un vestido, o vieron un vestido? So go ahead and pause it and think about it. And we're back, and it would be vio, because we're talking about ella. Ayer Paula vio un vestido muy barato en la tienda y lo, so would we say lo compré, lo compró, o lo compramos? Go ahead and pause. And we're back. Here would be compró, compró, right? Because it's ella. If you look on the list, ella compró. Muy bien. All right, let's go to número 2. En Navidad, los dependientes blank muchos calcetines y medias. So many socks and stockings. So what do we say? Los dependientes vendiste, vendió, o vendieron? Go ahead and pause it. And we're back. And the answer would be vendieron, just like we see here over on the PowerPoint, right? Ustedes, ellos, ellas vendieron, because we're talking about los dependientes, ellos. Muy bien. Número 3. La semana pasada fui a las rebajas en el centro comercial. Estoy contenta porque no blank mucho dinero. Would you say no gasté mucho dinero, no gastaste mucho dinero, or no gastó mucho dinero? What do you think? Pause it. Welcome back. It would be gasté, because we're talking yo, right? You say estoy, fui. Well, you don't know fui yet, but estoy should tell you that it's the yo form, right? So gasté, accent over the E. Muy bien. Let's look at número 4. Fernanda, so we're talking to Fernanda, blank la radio anoche, el famoso almacén La Barata blank anteayer. So let's start with this first one. Fernanda, would you say oíste la radio anoche, oí la radio anoche, o oímos la radio anoche? Pause. And we're back. It would be oíste, because you're talking directly to Fernanda. Oíste la radio anoche, el famoso almacén La Barata. We have 3 options here. Cerré anteayer, cerró anteayer, cerraron anteayer. Pause. And welcome back. Here we're talking about el famoso almacén, so the famous department store. Cerró, because it's like saying it, right? It closed the day before yesterday. This is anteayer. Muy bien. 5. Marcela, yo, ya. Marcela, yo. So it's talking like you're talking to Marcela. Ya blank tus revistas de moda 2 veces, pero no las encontré. So would you say yo ya busqué, yo ya buscaste, yo ya buscó tus revistas? Pause. And we're back. It'd be busqué, because yo, right? Busqué. I already looked for your fashion magazines. Busqué, accent over the E. All right, last one for this activity. Número 6. Usted blank en efectivo o blank su tarjeta de crédito. So let's do the first one. Usted pagué en efectivo, pagaste en efectivo, pagó en efectivo. Pause. Welcome back. Pagó. We look over usted, right? It ends in an O with the accent. En efectivo, so did you pay in cash or Usaste su tarjeta, usó su tarjeta, usaron su tarjeta de crédito. Pausarlo y hemos vuelto. Usó, right? Also with the O in the end, with the O with the accent, because it's usted. So it's asking, did you pay in cash or did you use your credit card? Okay, so there's that activity. That was kind of a simple multiple choice. We're going to do one more, similar one, but this one we have to write in the form. Alright, so this is a good opportunity to practice using your accent marks on the keyboard as well in the program. Alright, so again the instructions say fill in the blanks with the preterit tense of the indicated verbs. So Marcela, and then the verb is encontrar las sandalias debajo de la cama. So she found. Alright, pause. Think about how we're going to write this out. And welcome back. So we're going to say Marcela, so we're talking about her, so it's like ella encontró. But we need to put the accent there, so we click on that little button, and we put the O there, and we close it. Encontró las sandalias debajo de la cama. That's the answer. Número dos. Gustavo, the verb is recibir, so this is an IR verb. Un regalo muy bonito. Pause. And we're back, so this is like saying él, right? Gustavo, él recibió. So similar to the other one, except for there's an I. Right? Recibió accent, right? This is like here in this column. And like in the PowerPoint, vendió y escribió. But here it's recibió. Right, so he received a gift. Muy bien. Tres. Sara y Viviana, and the verb is terminar el libro al mismo tiempo. Okay, pause it. Think about how we conjugate terminar in the preterit. And we're back, and we'd say terminaron. Right, that's down here. Ellos, ellas. Right, Sara y Vivian. Ellas terminaron el libro al mismo tiempo. At the same time. Cuatro. La agente de viajes, the verb is preparar, un itinerario muy interesante. Alright, pause it, think about it, come back. And we're back. So here would be, the subject is la agente de viajes, so it's like saying ella. So we'd say preparó, con acento. Preparó un itinerario muy interesante. Muy bien, preparó. Yo, the verb is visitar la ciudad en invierno. Pause it. Alright, welcome back. So we'd say yo visité, ¿verdad? Con acento. Visité la ciudad en invierno. Excelente. Alright, continuando. Número 6. Los dependientes, and the verb is escuchar el partido por la radio. Pause it. And we're back. So los dependientes is like saying ellos. So we'd say ellos escucharon. Escucharon el partido por la radio. They listened to the game on the radio. Alright, muy bien. Número 7. Patricia y tú. And the verb is viajar a México el verano pasado. Welcome back. Pause, or you just paused it and you're back. So this is like saying ustedes, right? You two. So Patricia and you, I'm talking to two people. So you'd say viajaron. Now if you were in Spain, you could say viajasteis, right? Using this vosotros form. But like I said, that's only in Spain. So we're just practicing the more common ustedes form. So I'll leave viajaron. That's like ustedes. That's more than two people. Two or more people that you're directly talking to. Alright, número 8. We have nosotras, and we have the verb escribir una carta al empleado del almacén. So we wrote a card, right, to the employee of the department store. So we look over here, it's an IR verb. In fact, we even have the verb escribir. We find nosotros. Escribimos. Escribimos. Muy bien. Alright, número 9. Tú, and the verb is regresar del centro comercial a las 5 de la tarde. Go ahead and pause it. Alright, and we're back. So the tú form, this is an AR verb, and it's tú, so we add the ending aste. So regresaste, ¿verdad? Regresaste del centro comercial a las 5 de la tarde. Muy bien. All right, last one. Ustedes, and the verb is vivir, en casa de sus padres. So you lived in your parents' house. Go ahead and pause. And we're back. So this is an IR verb, right? So over here on the chart, IR, and then we go down to the ustedes form, and the ending is ieron. So we say vivieron. Ustedes vivieron en casa de sus padres. Okay? So again, these correspond to pages 206 a 209, so 206, 209 from the textbook if you want to look in on the book, which I recommend. And that's it for now. Gracias, clase. Hasta